A big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity. This is indeed a very special episode. Last week on Brand Equity, you saw 3 campaigns that were pitched to us by BBDO, Low Lintas and Leo Burnett. They were essentially campaigns that were trying to salvage brand Kingfisher Airlines. The brief given to the agencies was that in a crisis-stricken period like the one Kingfisher Airlines is going through, how do you reach out to the flyer? How do you reach out to the customer at large and say, hey, don't write us off as yet? We're going through a bad phase, so stick with us. And those are the 3 campaigns you saw. And thank you so much for the phenomenal response we got on Facebook, Twitter, and on email. Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time and sending in your vote. As discussed, today we're joined by a very elite panel who are going to discuss and debate these 3 campaigns and talk about which one has the potential of being the most effective. And to do just that, without any further delay, I'm going to introduce my extremely elite panel to you. On my extreme left, I have with me Charles Wright of Wolf Orleans, and he's the man who is responsible for all the metamorphosis you've seen on Hero Honda and also Docomo, if I'm not mistaken, a little while ago. And he's flown all the way from London to join us. On my left, immediate left, I have Raj Kurup of Creative Land Asia. For the creative fraternity, he needs no introduction. He's the man who's clearly making waves in the advertising world. And also, if I'm not mistaken, is Asia's #1 agency. Independent agency, yes. So that's Raj Kurup for you. On my right, I have Chax from Draft FC Violka, who's, has so many years of experience, is the man responsible and driving the Docomo campaign, and is doing a lot more interesting things that I cannot discuss. Thank you so much for joining us, Chax. And last but not the least, it's Pritish Nandi. I'm sure the man needs no introduction, but nevertheless, I'm going to attempt one. He is a renowned filmmaker and a social commentator, and a man who really, his opinion is interesting across any vertical, any topic. Am I right, Mr. Nandi?
I hope so.
So that's the panel for today, and we're going to kickstart this discussion right now. At the outset, I'd like to say that please think of this as, which creative solution is the most effective one. Please don't think of it from the point of view of whether Vijay Mallya or Kingfisher Airlines will buy it, because most of the times clients don't know what they're talking about. I'm sure Chax, Raj and Charles would vouch for that. I'm sure, Pritish, you've had many experiences with clients as well. So I'm going to start with you, Charles, because you're going to bring in the international perspective. You've handled many brands that have actually gone through turbulent times. So what did you think of the 3 campaigns, and what's your point of view?
I think the first thing I'd say, Sonali, is that this is the brief from hell, which is to say, to go public, unpaid, with something which is, as we say in England, leading with your chin and inviting people, in fact us 4 people, to throw punches at you. So I have every sympathy and respect for the 3 agencies that did this.
Absolutely.
Full marks to them.
Absolutely.
Now, as an outsider and a foreigner, my judgment is slightly skewed because I've flown Kingfisher, but not as much as the other panelists, I'm sure. I like the idea of Kingfisher refreshed, and for me, I think that one stands out.
So your vote goes to, you're saying, Leo Burnett, vis-a-vis Low and BBDO?
Yes.
Any reasons why?
Well, I think when I flew here today, I had the choice of 4 or 5 airlines, and one of those was Kingfisher. And what I'd have liked is give me a reason to fly Kingfisher. And of the 3 that I saw, that was the closest that came to giving me a reason to fly, which is there's a distinctive experience and it's as good as we all remember.
Let me go to Pritish Nandi on your view of which of the 3 campaigns you thought was most effective.
What is the problem? The problem has never been the Kingfisher experience. Everybody knows that the Kingfisher is possibly one of the best airlines you could fly anywhere in the world. So I think the problem is very different, and I think the second agency, which was Low Lintas, got it right, because most of the attacks on Kingfisher came from the digital world. It was just fun. I mean, I don't think all of it was malice. I think a lot of it was just the sheer fun of seeing something big going down. Now, I don't think Kingfisher needs a refreshed campaign. I think what Kingfisher needs is to have a cheeky response. And I think the digital campaign works better for me, though I don't agree with the creatives of the campaign. I think that's a bit very juvenile. So as far as I'm concerned, it's low lintas. I mean, BBDO, I didn't even figure. I couldn't even understand what they were trying to say.
Raj?
When I look at BBDO, I completely agree with Pritish when he says that it's a bit esoteric, and it's great feeling. I like the way they present it, but it doesn't really do anything for me when I watch the campaign. When I look at Leo Burnett, it's I think it's a very safe bet. It's a very safe sort of a campaign. Not really inspiring. Maybe they got a few things right. They've got the flavor right, and they've got the feel right. But I think when it comes to having teeth, I think I like what Lowe was trying to do. I completely agree, and I completely second the fact that it was a great idea to go digital, because it would be ridiculous to go on TV and spend that kind of money, splurge that kind of money, because yeah, you don't want another joke happening. So some of the lines were quite interesting when you say, there's no compromise. It's a great idea to really come in and talk about post sort of a fiasco. But yeah, the creatives kind of lost the plot.
Perfectly said. The creatives were collegiate. The creatives were not serious advertising creatives.
Let's get the last word in.
Yeah, I think Leo Burnett's Refreshed was a little too predictable, and it would be met with a lot of cynicism and a lot of scorn almost. BBDO, I think, was just having a ball. I didn't quite get it. Though I like somewhere, Save the Kingfisher. It's a nice starting point. I clearly think between the three, directionally, Lowe is the only one that's even in the ballpark. I actually don't mind the spirit of the first phase, which is we were there in your bad times. And it can be very enjoyable, and it can be collegiate, because that is a collegiate trip of saying, listen, you got drunk and you made an ass of yourself, and we were there, and listen. So I would agree with both Pritish and Raj in the fact that digital was the way to go, because that's where the maximum noise came. And these are the smart know-alls. They are also the first who will laugh with you.
Charles, you seem to be the minority here.
I do.
Yeah.
And I think
You actually chose the most boring option.
I did, and I think I'd distinguish between the creative treatment, and I entirely agree with the point about viral as the way to respond to this. I think the use of humour, which to me as a foreigner at least seemed almost satirical and mocking the subject, as opposed to didn't address what I needed to know.
I think part of the problem, Charles, is today Kingfisher has become the butt of all jokes. That is death for a brand that was created and flourished on a cachet. So you need to address that, and then, sure, over a long-term period, if you're talking about a sustainable brand story, yes, it has to be in the space that you are saying. Yeah. It has to be about the richness of the experience. If you're able to handle it with a certain dry humor, without finger pointing, with a touch of self-deprecation, but you need to become cool again. You need to handle this with pizzazz, with a bit of creative. Yeah. Because Vijay Mallya is known for that.
Like, I remember one of his shows. There was one show that I saw where he was being questioned in Janta ki, one of these adalat or whatever, and where they said, "Aap Janta ka aap par आरोप है कि आप अपना बाप का पैसा उड़ाते हैं." And he looks at him and says, "वो तो मैं कब का उड़ा दिया? अभी मैं अपना पैसा उड़ा रहा हूँ." Now that is, he's a man who can. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're a butt of joke. He knows how to come out of that entire thing.
The kind of promise that Kingfisher, talked about, opulence, and this great Maharaja-like experience when they first launched. You take a look at that same experience, which was really great at one point when they launched, and let's say over the last 3 months, and it has really fallen down. Your benchmark was so high, but your stewardesses don't look that hot anymore, right? The food is not that great anymore. The on-ground staff, if there are changes being made, are not there to guide you. I mean, the service is dropped. It's a classic case of overcommitment and under-delivery. That also needs to be addressed.
I think the problem began when they talked about an opulent airline, a great airline, and create this great flashy brand, and then suddenly acquired Deccan and brought in Kingfisher Red, and you suddenly had a brand which is struggling to cover all spaces and not being able to cover any of them successfully.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Charles?
I'd agree, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but red is dead, isn't it now? So
No, red is there.
Red is very much
Red is
there.
very much
It
there.
will be dead in a while. They
that's
will
the
phase it
point.
out. Yes, yes.
But I think for me the issue with whether it's red or the Kingfisher itself is that individual bits of the experience or the promise were very attractive, always. And I think there were hints of those in each of the 3 films that we saw. The issue is they never really joined up, or increasingly in the last year or two, the experience has become frayed. Now, I always used to prefer jet, and then in the last year I've switched to indigo. Why? Because it's very simple. The plane will arrive on time. The emphasis on the frills and the razzmatazz, which Kingfisher has, is great. But I think that side of it they need to restore. And
Everybody's flying from destination A to destination B. How do you make a brand distinction? You try and make it through the frills, through the accoutrements.
well, I'm not so sure, because if I may challenge you, I think it may not be a coincidence that the airline which has focused most single-mindedly on on-time departures is the one that's still making money.
Oh, I think Indigo is outstanding. Low cost, bang on time, and it doesn't promise you anything.
See, we can
and
agree on
gives you
something.
better. Yeah.
No, but you know what I feel? They had the opportunity of becoming the Indigo that we know right now.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
they could have made low-cost flying cool, which is what Indigo has done. Deccan is something that a lot of people say, oh, no, you know, it's a poor man's airline, is the way people looked at it. And when suddenly it became Kingfisher Red, suddenly the equity kind of went up. But they missed the bus somewhere. Indigo's got it right now. Absolutely. I mean, you know, today everyone here is saying that, okay, I love flying Indigo. We forget the fact that it's actually it's supposed to be a low-cost budget airline.
Because they made it cool.
Exactly.
How much do you think Mr. Malia's brand per se has rubbed off on the airline?
Kingfisher is not just about service and quality. It's also about Malia. It's also about a certain flamboyance. It's also about, in your face, you might not like me, but you can't help envying me. That's almost the attitude it comes from. I agree with Raj. If Kingfisher starts talking about industry ills, you might want it to be advocacy, but it will end up being finger pointing.
If you look at brand Malia, let me put it as brand Malia, I think it's probably the coolest billionaire brand in this country. You know, I love the fact that there's always been a point of view. You know, right, wrong, it's like the bad boys. I mean, you look at Salman Khan in the industry, or you look at Sanjay Dutt, they're always going to be bad boys. But at the end of the day, if you can never deny the cool factor that they bring, and they're definitely one of the largest brands.
Just to come back to, you know, the 3 campaigns. So clearly, you know, 3 panelists out of 4 are going with low. Is that a consensus?
We are saying, if
So we go with the digital.
Yeah.
With the digital idea.
Between the 3 presented, there seems to be only one which has got at least the fundamental thinking right.
Do you think you can take a last go at convincing the rest of the panel?
No, because in a funny way, I think despite where we got to in the conversation, there is some agreement, which is that there's an immediate issue to address,
Absolutely.
which
Yeah.
the viral campaign and the use of gentle humour, not mockery, can do. And to that extent, I think, unless I'm wrong, gentlemen, we're actually in agreement.
So can we then give the jury award to Low for their effort and strategic thinking? So that was clearly a consensus. 4 panelists, 3 out of them vociferously saying that Low Linta should get the jury award, and one of them, who first was with Leo Burnett, has finally decided that, yeah, I mean, strategically, Low Lintas was bang on. So many congratulations, Low, and the entire team that worked on this particular project. Many thanks and many congratulations. On another note, I'm also going to be announcing the Viewer's Choice Award today, as promised. And believe it or not, on Facebook, Twitter, email, and SMS, 80% of the votes were in favor of Low Lintas. So many congratulations on that award as well. Most of our viewers were absolutely taken aback with the kind of effort and commercials you put out there. They were a lot less critical than the panel here. And also, many thanks to both the other agencies for participating. We really respect your campaigns and the time you've put in to really be part of the Brand Equity Initiative. Some of those campaigns have also got some very good feedback, but Low, by far, winning by a very grand margin of 80%. So let's get in Arun Iyer to hear from him on winning both the Jury Award and the Viewer's Choice Award.
First of all, thank you very much. And see, what our thinking was very simple, you know, that at this point in time, Going and telling Kingfisher to spend would be really fatal, like I said before also. And we just thought that, it takes a very confident brand, a very confident person to laugh at oneself. Yes, there has been a problem. Yes, we will get out of that problem, and it's okay. Life moves on. So we just thought that it was interesting to take a lighter take on this whole thing instead of taking the whole thing too seriously.
Many congratulations, Arun, once again, and to the entire Low team that worked on this brand equity special initiative. I'd also like to take the opportunity and thank both the other participating agencies, BBDO and Leo Burnett, for taking the time out and giving us their take on how brand Kingfisher should be salvaged. Special thanks to Josie Paul and KV Sridhar, also known as Pops, to be such great sports and participate in Brand Equity's special initiative. On that note, we're slipping into a quick break, but don't go away, as coming up in just a moment is a very candid chat with the retail guru, Paco Underhill. You cannot miss this one.